Hello, I'm Hope Logan. I am an actor on Bold and the Beautiful, and many people really love both me and our Bold and the Beautiful drama. So I've come here to share updates about my beloved Bold and the Beautiful. Everyone, please subscribe and support me. If you do, I will keep coming every day with new updates for you. In the world of the bold and the beautiful, tensions begin to quietly build as Steffy Forrester Finnegan finds herself unsettled by a growing sense that something about Hope Logan Spencer is not being fully revealed. Steffy's suspicions sharpen during a private conversation with Brooke Logan Forrester, where she voices her concern that Hope may be keeping important matters in the dark. The timing only deepens her worry, especially with Hope's sudden hiatus creating an uncomfortable silence around her future at Forrester Creations. What initially feels like a temporary break begins to look, in Steffi's eyes, like something far more permanent, as though Hope could be preparing to step away entirely and build a new path elsewhere. This possibility weighs heavily on Steffi, who knows how essential hope for the future is meant to be when the moment is right, and she makes a determined vow to Brooke on June 16th that she will not let the opportunity slip away. In that moment, Steffi begins to realize that passive reassurance is no longer enough, and that she must take a more proactive approach to convince Hope that the brand still has a real future waiting for her. As the emotional undercurrent deepens, Steffi starts to see a potential solution taking shape, one that could shift the entire trajectory of the situation. With excitement building around Eric Forrester's latest couture collection, she imagines turning the upcoming fashion show into something far more meaningful than a single celebration. In her mind, the event could become a powerful dual announcement where the debut of Eric's designs is immediately followed by the official relaunch of Hope for the Future, creating a wave of momentum that carries both stories forward together. The idea feels strategic and hopeful to Steffi, as if Eric's renewed buzz could be seamlessly channeled into a new beginning for Hope's line, marking a fresh chapter for everyone involved. She assumes this bold gesture will be received with relief and happiness, believing it could finally erase years of uncertainty surrounding the brand. Meanwhile, Brooke shares in the celebratory mood, feeling encouraged as she spends time with Hope and sensing that her daughter's future at Forrester Creations may finally be stabilizing in a positive direction. Yet beneath the surface of these promising developments, a more complicated emotional reality begins to form for Hope Logan Spencer. While others may see an opportunity blooming, Hope finds herself quietly overwhelmed, torn between competing responsibilities and uncertain futures. She has already committed to a contract at Logan and has been actively working with Deke Sharp to bring a brand new fashion line to life, adding another layer of complexity to her already divided attention. As Steffi's unexpected proposal begins to take shape and the possibility of a relaunch announcement moves closer to reality, Hope is left with far more questions than answers, unsure how to align her current obligations with this sudden shift in direction. The Bold and the Beautiful spoilers suggest that this moment will place her at an emotional crossroads, forcing her to process not only what she wants for her career, but also what promises she can realistically keep as everything around her begins to accelerate. As the pressure begins to mount, the atmosphere around Forrester Creations grows increasingly charged with anticipation, as if the entire building is unknowingly moving toward a turning point. Steffy Forrester Finnegan becomes more confident in her plan, believing that the timing of Eric Forrester's couture showcase is no coincidence, but an opportunity that cannot be wasted. She starts preparing mentally for how the announcement will unfold, picturing the moment when Hope for the Future is officially brought back into focus in front of an energized audience. In her mind, this coordinated reveal will not only elevate Eric's collection, but also restore momentum to a brand that has long struggled to find stable ground. Brooke Logan Forrester, still hopeful and emotionally invested in her daughter's success, continues to encourage Hope, sensing that something important is about to happen that could finally validate years of waiting. But beneath this shared optimism, the weight of unspoken uncertainty lingers, especially as Hope quietly wrestles with choices she has not yet shared with anyone. When Steffi's offer and intention begin to take clearer shape, Hope Logan Spencer finds herself pulled into an even deeper emotional conflict than before. The idea of an immediate relaunch announcement sounds, on the surface, like the breakthrough she has always wanted for Hope for the future, yet it collides directly with the reality of her existing commitments. Her contract with Logan and her growing collaboration with Deke Sharp on an entirely new fashion direction are not minor details she can simply set aside, and the pressure of balancing both paths begins to feel overwhelming. Each option carries emotional weight, one tied to a long history of promises and disappointment at Forrester, the other representing a fresh creative beginning she has only just started to shape. As the deadline of Steffy's proposal draws nearer, Hope is left trapped in a silent storm of doubt, unable to fully embrace either direction without risking loss in the other. The celebration around her continues, but internally everything feels like it is tightening into a difficult and unavoidable decision. Brooke, unaware of the full extent of Hope's internal struggle, continues to believe that a breakthrough moment is approaching, especially after their recent time together filled with encouragement and optimism. She sees Steffy's involvement as a sign that things are finally aligning in Hope's favor, as though the long-awaited recognition for her daughter's talent is finally within reach. Yet Hope's silence begins to feel heavier with each passing moment, hinting that the situation is far more complicated than anyone realizes. As anticipation builds for the upcoming fashion event and the dual announcement Steffy has envisioned, Hope stands at the center of conflicting worlds, each pulling her in a different direction. The stage is being set for a dramatic revelation, but what should feel like triumph instead begins to feel like pressure closing in from all sides. And as everything moves toward that pivotal moment, Hope is left facing a future that is no longer simple, certain, or easy to choose. As the day of Eric Forrester's couture showcase draws closer, the energy inside the bold and the beautiful becomes more intense, almost as if the entire fashion house is holding its breath. Steffy Forrester Finnegan continues refining her vision for the joint announcement, convinced that this carefully timed reveal could reshape the future of multiple brands at once. Every detail of the upcoming event feels increasingly significant, from the runway presentation to the guest list, because Steffy sees it as more than just a fashion show. It is a turning point waiting to happen. Brooke Logan Forrester, still caught in a wave of cautious optimism, tries to remain focused on the positive signs, especially as she spends time reassuring Hope Logan Spencer that brighter days are ahead. Yet even in these moments of encouragement, there is a subtle tension in the air, as if something unspoken is hovering just beneath every conversation. Hope, meanwhile, remains outwardly composed but internally unsettled, carrying the growing burden of decisions she can no longer postpone. As preparations intensify, Hope's emotional conflict deepens into something far more consuming, as she finds herself constantly pulled between loyalty, opportunity, and uncertainty. The idea of hope for the future returning through Steffy's announcement should feel like validation, like the long-awaited recognition of her creative vision finally being realized on a grand stage. But instead, it only sharpens the divide within her, because she knows her current path with Logan and Deke Sharp is already in motion, already forming into something new and meaningful. Each direction now feels equally significant, yet fundamentally incompatible, forcing Hope into a position where any choice will come with loss attached. The pressure builds quietly but relentlessly, until even the thought of the upcoming fashion show becomes emotionally overwhelming rather than exciting. What should have been a moment of celebration is instead turning into a crossroads that she never fully prepared for. Steffy, still unaware of the full emotional storm brewing inside Hope, remains confident that her plan represents unity and progress, a way to bring closure to old doubts and open a new chapter for everyone involved. She believes the shared spotlight between Eric Forrester's couture debut and the relaunch of Hope for the Future will create a powerful wave of excitement that benefits both legacy and innovation. Brooke, watching from the sidelines, begins to sense that the moment they have all been waiting for is finally approaching, and she allows herself to hope that this could be the turning point that secures her daughter's future at Forrester Creations. Yet beneath all this anticipation, the emotional stakes continue to rise quietly, centered entirely around Hope's unspoken hesitation. As the runway lights prepare to shine and the fashion world inches closer to its grand reveal, Hope stands on the edge of a life-changing decision where every possible path forward carries both promise and painful consequence. As the long-awaited fashion showcase finally approaches within the world of the bold and the beautiful, the atmosphere at Forrester Creations becomes almost electric, filled with anticipation, ambition, and unspoken tension. Steffy Forrester Finnegan moves with purpose through the preparations, fully committed to the idea that this moment will redefine the future of both Eric Forrester's couture line and Hope for the future. In her mind, everything is aligning exactly as it should, and she begins to see the runway event not just as a celebration, but as the perfect stage for transformation. Brooke Logan Forrester continues to stand beside Hope Logan Spencer, offering reassurance and emotional support, while quietly believing that this could be the breakthrough they have both been waiting for. Yet even as the building fills with excitement and final preparations fall into place, a fragile undercurrent of uncertainty lingers, especially around Hope, who remains unusually quiet and introspective. The contrast between the external celebration and her internal hesitation grows sharper with every passing moment. Inside Hope, the emotional weight of Steffi's looming proposal reaches its peak, pressing down on her with a force she can no longer ignore. The promise of hope for the future's relaunch, delivered in such a public and powerful way, should feel like triumph, but instead it feels like a moment of collision between past expectations and present reality. She knows that her work with Logan and Deke Sharp has already begun shaping a new creative direction, one that represents independence and a fresh start outside the shadow of previous disappointments. Yet walking away from the legacy of hope for the future is not something she can do lightly, especially when others believe so strongly in its return. Every option now feels like a sacrifice, and every path forward seems to close another door she is not ready to shut. The emotional strain becomes almost suffocating as she realizes that no matter what decision is made, something meaningful will be left behind. As the runway lights begin to warm and the audience prepares for the grand presentation, Steffi remains convinced that her carefully planned announcement will unite everyone in a shared moment of celebration. She imagines applause, excitement, and a renewed sense of direction sweeping through the fashion house as both Eric's couture debut and Hope's relaunch take center stage together. Brooke holds on to that same hope, believing that this could finally bring stability and recognition to her daughter's long and complicated journey at Forrester Creations. But Hope, standing at the center of it all, feels something entirely different. A quiet but undeniable sense that her life is about to split into two irreversible directions. As the final moments before the show tick down, the promise of success and the fear of loss exist side by side, and Hope is left standing on the edge of a decision that will define everything that comes next.